Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our Saturday morning news video. Hope you're all doing well. Make sure you like and subscribe, of course, those are the rules. Yesterday there was a new video out on the channel of the best and funniest F1 related adverts of all time, following on from Valtteri Bottas's incredible advert in Australia. That one's in there, as well as many others. So if you're a fan of ridiculous adverts, if you're a fan of Nigel Mansell in ridiculous adverts, check that one out on the channel from yesterday. The main news of this week is I'm getting a haircut today, hopefully. So this ridiculously out of control hair will be gone for the Japanese Grand Prix next weekend. Of course, we'll have all the coverage for the Japanese Grand Prix right here on the channel. But without further ado, let's get into the news. And much like a lot of news videos I've been doing this year, the main stories revolve around the Red Bull team. But for once, we're not going to mention Christian Horner. We're going to instead mention Daniel Ricciardo, because coming out of the Australian Grand Prix, there was a rumour going around that he'd been handed an ultimatum from Helmut Marko, basically saying that he had 2 more races to prove that he was still good enough to participate in Formula 1, otherwise he would be dropped for Liam Lawson. Helmut Marko has come out and said that that is not true. No ultimatum has been given to Ricciardo, although he did say that a driver swap during the season is not ruled out if his performances do not improve before the summer break. So basically what he's saying here, he said, there is no ultimatum, but there might be an ultimatum before the summer break. So there you go. That's something to ponder on there. Personally, looking at Ricciardo's results, we've had 3 races so far this year. In Bahrain, I think he was given a strategy that was really bad. In Saudi, the car had issues, and then they had a really long pit stop. I think out of the 3 races, the only result you can fully blame on him is the Australian race, and obviously that wasn't necessarily too good. But, he's still got some time here to turn it around, and I believe he can do, because, we saw at the end last year, he was on top of it, looking pretty good, so I still think there is time for Ricciardo to prove himself in this car, and I think he'll do just fine. Looking elsewhere in the Red Bull team, the name Adrian Newey. Now, there's been lots of talk around Adrian Newey as of late, especially with the ongoing Red Bull situation. There's been rumours of him wanting to leave, looking to maybe join the Ferrari team, is one that was heavily rumoured at one point as a team that he's kind of always wanted to go to, but has never really, the stars have never aligned. So the rumour mill of him going to Ferrari has been up in flames since this whole thing has started. But a new name has entered the talks with Adrian Newey, and that is Aston Martin. According to a number of reports, Lawrence Stroll has offered Adrian Newey an astronomical sum to leave Red Bull and join Aston Martin. This offer was apparently made during the weekend of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix during a seemingly casual meeting. Now, the amount of this astronomical sum has been not stated, but it depends on who you listen to, depends on how much it actually is. I saw some people go, he's been offered £1 million, and I just thought to myself, surely he's already on multiple £1 million in Red Bull at this point. You've got to think that Adrian Newey is getting paid quite a bit in Red Bull. So if Lawrence Stroll said, would you like £1 million, I think Adrian Newey would go, I've already got many £1 million. But then I saw someone say that Adrian Newey has been offered £1 billion to join Aston Martin, which again I think is now the complete opposite side of the spectrum. I think that's maybe a bit too much of a guess. So I would say the offer that Adrian Newey has been given is somewhere between £1 million and £1 billion, and that's my guarantee there. If you want to use my name as a source, if you're running this story yourself, I'd say the offer is somewhere between £1 million and £1 billion. So there you go. That's something to keep an eye on. Personally, I still don't think Adrian Newey is going anywhere. I think he will stay at Red Bull because I think he's got a good thing going there. I don't think he sees a need to leave at the minute. Of course, this whole situation is still ongoing and probably will not end anytime soon. but I don't think Newey is going anywhere. And the final story surrounding the Red Bull team, or the Red Bull family, we should say, because this is more about the Racing Bulls than any other team, is that Yumu Iwasa, who is currently competing in Super Formula, was in Formula 2 last year, is part of the Red Bull Junior program. He'll be taking part in FP1 in the Japanese Grand Prix. He'll be taking Daniel Ricciardo's car, so I'm sure many outlets go, Daniel Ricciardo replaced the Japanese Grand Prix. But yeah, it's just, we have to have the young drivers tests. We have to have the young drivers in a free practice session. We have to have 2 throughout the year. Last year, a lot of teams waited until the end of the year to allow that to happen. But I think what Red Bull have done here with Iwasa in Japan is actually a very clever idea. Firstly, we'll have FP1 now with 2 Japanese drivers in the Japanese Grand Prix, which is, it's a good look. It'll be great for the home crowd to see 2 Japanese drivers for the same team within that session. But also, Iwasa is competing in Super Formula, who, use that Suzuka track, and it'll be good experience for him to have. I don't even know if he's ever driven around Suzuka before, but yeah, that'll be good for him there. So I think it works out for everyone for Iwasa to do that FP1 session. It'll be good to see him again, because I haven't seen him race since the end of F2 last year, so that should be pretty interesting. Looking forward to next year, though, 2025. There's been rumours about this for a while, but it's been officially confirmed now that the opening race for next year will be the Australian Grand Prix. Going back to a bit of a classic, if you're an F1 fan from the 90s, 2010s, you'll always kind of recognise Australia as the official opening race of the year. We have moved to Bahrain as the opening race. I think since COVID, we moved there. But yes, we'll be going back to Australia as the opening race of the year, and the Bahrain and Jeddah Grand Prix will be pushed back in the calendar in order to not have them during the Ramadan season. Is it right to call it a season? I'm sorry if it's not right to call it a season, but yeah, to avoid Ramadan there, so we can have the races back on a Sunday. No word yet on if testing will be moved. I doubt testing will be moved to Australia, as it is a street track with a street that gets regularly used. So to close that down for testing and a race, I think probably wouldn't be for the best. And I think Bahrain is a great track to have testing at. So, no word on testing as of just yet, but Australia will be the first race of the year in 2025, when, of course, we will see Lewis Hamilton driving for Ferrari for the first time. And speaking of Ferrari, huge news at the minute about his teammate, his future teammate, Charles Leclerc. This is possibly the biggest and most exciting news story of the week. Is that Charles Leclerc is going to open an ice cream shop in Milan. This is the new project by Formula 1 driver Charles Leclerc, arriving in Milan, and it's called Lec. Together with Federico Grom and Guido Guido Martinetti, yes, who are founders of Grom, maybe? I've never heard of it. I think it's an Italian ice cream, and it's probably very tasty. Also alongside his agent Nicholas Tott as well. Apparently this is a big secret project for Leclerc. But yes, he's going to be opening an ice cream shop in Milan, which is great. And you know what? I've never been to Milan, but if this was to open, who knows? I might even make a video going all the way to Milan just to have Charles Leclerc's ice cream. I think that's just great. And the final news story of the week comes from the mouth of the 1996 world champion Damon Hill, who has publicly stated his disapproval, maybe? He doesn't agree with the penalty Fernando Alonso received at the Australian Grand Prix. It seems like, looking at it, pretty much anyone who's ever raced has said that penalty for Fernando Alonso was unfair, but for balance, people who like George Russell on Twitter say it's fair. So, just to give balance there, this is what Damon Hill has to say about it. The idea that you had to stop people doing anything unexpected is not real racing. saying that he does not agree with the penalty that Fernando Alonso received. That is from Damon Hill. Very adamant about that, very passionate, saying that Fernando Alonso should not have got a penalty. That's Damon Hill there with his hill he's ready to die on. Hey, yes, come on, it's a joke. It's a joke, everyone, in the news video. Yes, come on. Because you know the saying, that's your hill to die on when you're passionately defending something. This is Damon Hill passionately defending that Fernando Alonso shouldn't have got a penalty. It's his hill to die on. His Damon Hill to die on. Oh, we don't get many jokes in the news video. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I think this is the best news video we've ever done. No one can tell that I haven't been able to sleep and I've been up for 2 hours and it's 7:10. It's fantastic. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful time we've all had here on the news video. As I said, make sure you watch that video about the adverts. We'll be back next weekend with all things Japanese Grand Prix. That'll be just F1, because I don't think F2 and F3 are going. But we'll have coverage, we'll have the preview on Friday, qualifying reaction on Saturday, race reaction on the Sunday. All of that to come next week, and who knows, I might tell another joke, and you know, they've all gone down well so far, I'm sure you'll agree. Until then though, have a good one, I'll see you later, goodbye.